Have you ever shared a victory only to feel the air shift like a storm cloud rolling in? Or noticed a friend's compliment that felt more like a shadow creeping over your sunshine than a genuine praise? Here's the hard truth. Jealousy doesn't always wear a flashy sign. Sometimes it's lurking like a wolf in sheep's clothing, hidden in plain sight, even in the people closest to you. Today, we're diving into the subtle and not so subtle signs that someone might be quietly carrying a dagger of envy behind their smile. Let's face it, when you're out here shining like a star, not everyone can handle the brilliance of your glow. Some will try to extinguish your flame, fearing that it might outshine their own. Stick with me, because I'm about to share how to spot the invisible threads of jealousy in the people around you, and why you shouldn't let them pull you down. Let's get started. Number 1, gossip behind your back. One of the clearest signs that someone is secretly jealous of you. They become the puppet master behind your back, pulling the strings of gossip. Think about it. Nothing screams, "I'm threatened by your success," louder than discussing your triumphs with everyone else, rather than celebrating them with you directly. Jealousy is like a shadow that thrives in the dark, seeking an audience to fuel its fire. When someone envies you, they'd rather weave your story into a web of whispers than bask in the glow of your accomplishments beside you. And while it might sting, there's a twisted compliment buried in it. You're out there, chasing your dreams and breaking barriers, and they've made you the protagonist of their own little soap opera. Plot twist, you didn't even audition for the role. I remember when I landed my first big promotion. A close friend, who I trusted with all my heart, started to act strangely. Instead of congratulating me, they'd drop cryptic comments like, "Well, you know, those positions aren't that hard to get." Or, "Lucky you, I hear they hire just about anyone these days." At first, I laughed it off. But then I began hearing the soft whispers from mutual friends about how I probably got lucky or knew someone on the inside. The punchline? I didn't even know they felt this way until it slipped out at a party, like a dagger in the heart. It was as if a mirror had shattered, revealing a side of them I didn't recognize. Their jealousy had transformed into a silent storm of gossip. Here's the thing about jealousy. It hides behind a well-placed smile, only revealing its true face when you're out of earshot. If you hear rumors floating around, remember, those whispers aren't about you. They're about the insecurities festering in others. Ultimately, those who gossip are just reflecting their own fears and frustrations, proof that you're doing something right. You're blazing a trail they wish they could walk. So don't let their words anchor you down. Let them talk. Let them whisper from the shadows. The real support will come from those cheering you on from the light. And as for the rest, let them be silent spectators in your story, because you're the one writing the script. Number 2, copycat behavior. Let's talk about copycats, the chameleons of your life. You know the type, those who start mimicking everything about you, your style, your hobbies, even the way you speak. Sure, imitation can be flattering until it starts to feel like you're looking in a funhouse mirror, seeing a distorted reflection of yourself. When someone mirrors every little thing you do, it's no longer admiration. It's as if they've become a shadow of you, lurking just behind your every step. There's a fine line between being inspired and losing your identity. And trust me, when someone is so desperate to imitate you that they forget their own reflection, it's no longer about respect. It's about insecurity. They're so busy trying to wear your skin that they've lost track of their own. I once had a coworker who became a mirror, reflecting back everything I did, but in the most unsettling way. It started innocently enough, asking where I got my jacket or casually commenting on how much she loved a phrase I used. I didn't think much of it at first. But then, like a ripple turning into a tidal wave, things escalated. She copied my haircut. She started dressing in the same shades I wore. Soon, she was picking up my hobbies like they were souvenirs from a trip she never took. And that's when it hit. She wasn't just imitating my style. She started stealing my ideas at work, presenting them to our boss, using my same tone and body language in meetings. Even on social media, her captions began to read like they were torn from my own diary, word-for-word copies of mine. At first, I brushed it off, telling myself it was harmless. But then it felt like I was being hollowed out, like someone was wearing my skin, and I was slowly fading into the background. I decided to confront her, casually mentioning how similar our lives had become. Her response? "Oh, I just think you have great taste." But deep down, I knew it wasn't about taste. She wasn't carving her own path. She was trying to walk down mine. Here's the thing about copycats. They don't want to do the work of building their own road. Instead, they latch onto yours like a leech, drawn to what they see in you, but don't feel they can achieve themselves. They want the shortcut, the easy way out, but what they fail to realize is that the path you've paved is uniquely yours, paved with effort, sacrifices, and countless experiences they can never replicate. And while it can be frustrating, being copied is also a reflection of your value. They're drawn to what makes you unique, the spark, the creativity, the essence that only you bring. But here's the kicker. No matter how hard they try, they'll never capture what makes you, you. They can mimic your actions, but they can't replicate the soul behind them. They only see the surface, not the layers of depth that shape you. So, if you're dealing with a copycat, take it as a sign that you're doing something right. Let it remind you of your authenticity, the one thing they'll never be able to copy. Keep being yourself, unapologetically. The world doesn't need replicas, it needs the real thing. After all, no one can duplicate what's truly one of a kind, your originality. Number 3, always competing with you. Let's talk about that hidden competitor in your life, the one who always feels the need to outshine you, like a shadow that follows your every step. The friend, co-worker, or even family member who can't let you share a win without turning it into a race you never entered. You mention, "I finally organized my closet," and they jump in with, "Oh, I color-coded and alphabetized mine last weekend." Or you share the excitement of landing a new job, and instead of celebrating with you, they throw in their own boast about recent promotions, like they're trying to steal the spotlight. It's not just about sharing accomplishments, it's about transforming every moment into a race you didn't sign up for, a marathon where you're not even aware of the finish line. I've been there. I had a friend who turned every conversation into a competition. If I said, "I finished that big project at work," they'd immediately respond with, "Oh, really? I'm juggling 3 projects right now, no big deal." Or if I shared something new, like mastering a new skill, they'd claim they'd already climbed that mountain years ago. It was like running in circles on a treadmill, exhausting and fruitless. Instead of feeling supported, I felt like I was always being measured against someone else's invisible scoreboard. I even started holding back my victories, knowing they'd somehow twist my success into a story that made me feel like I was losing ground. Here's the truth. People who always compete with you aren't rooting for you. They're racing against themselves. Your achievements trigger their insecurities. To them, life is a zero-sum game, a high-stakes poker match where if you win, they must be losing. The turning point for me came when I saved up to take a dream trip I'd been planning for years. It was like finally reaching the summit of a mountain I'd been climbing forever. But when I shared the news, my friend immediately said, "Oh, I did a similar trip last year, but I stayed for 3 weeks in 5-star resorts. Yours will be fun, but it's different when you have more time, you know." I felt like my balloon had been popped. What should have been a moment of celebration turned into a competition I didn't even know we were having. That's when I realized their constant need to compete wasn't about me. It was about their own fears and insecurities, like trying to drown out their own doubts by constantly comparing themselves to others. People like this don't see your success as a victory. They see it as a threat, like your light dims their own. They view life through a lens of scarcity, convinced there's only a limited amount of success to go around, like there's only so much pie, and if you take a bigger slice, they'll have less. So here's the lesson: don't let their behavior steal your joy. Your achievements are like seeds you've planted. They don't need validation from anyone, especially from someone who's too wrapped up in their own insecurities to celebrate your growth. The next time someone tries to compete with your success, smile, nod, and move on. You don't need to prove anything to them. Keep focusing on your own journey, because life isn't a race. It's a path you carve with your own hands. While they're busy trying to outrun you, you'll be running your own race, shining in your own lane, where no one can dim your light. If you've watched the video this far, make sure to comment "Thank God" to let us know you're with us. Number 4, they bring up your past. Let's face it, we all have past mistakes, those cringe-worthy chapters in our lives we'd rather rewrite. You know the ones: awkward moments, wrong turns, or failures we wish we could erase from memory. But here's the thing. People who truly care about you won't keep flipping through the pages of your past every time you start to shine. They're there to celebrate your growth, not dwell on what's behind you. But a jealous person? They treat your mistakes like an old photograph album they can't help but pull out whenever your success starts to stand in the spotlight. Their goal isn't to humble you, it's to cast shadows on your light, because they can't stand to see you glowing. I'll never forget a friend from a few years ago who had this habit of resurrecting my past at the worst times. Every time I hit a new milestone, they'd dig up an old mistake, like a treasure hunt for my failures. I remember landing a huge opportunity that I had worked toward for years, and I was over the moon. But instead of congratulating me, their response was, "Wow, that's amazing." And to think, I remember when you couldn't even handle a group project without messing it up. It was like a cold splash of water. Here I was, soaring, and instead of recognizing how far I'd come, they tied me to a version of myself that no longer existed. It was like they were holding onto a ghost of my past to keep me tethered to it. At first I shrugged it off, thinking it was just a harmless jab. But then it became a pattern. Every time I hit a new milestone, they'd find a way to drag out an old failure, like dusting off an old record that had no place in the present. And that's when it clicked. This wasn't about me. It was about them. When someone's jealousy flares up, your growth becomes their insecurity. Instead of embracing the person you've become, they keep reaching for the past because they can't handle how far you've come. It's their way of leveling the playing field. Not by growing themselves, but by trying to pull you back to where they feel comfortable. But here's the truth: your growth is yours, and it's not up for debate. True friends don't weaponize your past. They celebrate the person you're becoming. If someone keeps throwing your past mistakes in your face, it's not because they've forgotten them, it's because they're terrified of who you've become and where you're headed. So let them stay trapped in the past, if they must. You've already moved forward. You're not defined by who you were, you're defined by who you're becoming. The next time someone tries to throw an old failure in your face, remember, you've outgrown that version of yourself. You don't owe anyone an apology for evolving. Let them stay stuck in the rearview mirror while you keep driving full speed ahead. Because your growth isn't just a personal victory, it's proof that you're heading toward a future they can only watch from the sidelines, wishing they could keep up. Number 5, making fun of your dreams. Let's talk about those people who love to turn your dreams into punchlines. You know the type, the ones who, when you share your biggest aspirations, suddenly become stand-up comedians. Oh, you want to start your own business? Good luck with that. So you're going to be a singer now? Ha! Maybe I'll come watch if it's free. At first, these comments might seem like harmless jokes, but dig a little deeper and you'll see they're steeped in insecurity. They're not laughing with you. They're laughing at the reflection of their own unmet dreams. Your ambitions remind them of the things they gave up on, and that sting is easier to cover up with humor than to confront head-on. I've been there. When I first started sharing my goals, like wanting to work in a creative field and build my own brand, I faced the same kind of mockery. Friends would joke, "Oh, so you think you're going to be famous now?" Or "Sure, like anyone's really going to follow you for that." At first I laughed it off with them, but deep down it stung. Here I was, opening my heart and taking a bold step, and instead of feeling supported, I felt like my dreams were being trampled into the dirt. Then one day a thought struck me like a lightning bolt. They weren't mocking my dreams because they were foolish. They were mocking them because my pursuit of something big was a mirror reflecting their own regrets. My courage to chase my dreams brought their unspoken fears, missed chances, and buried aspirations to the surface. Instead of dealing with those uncomfortable truths, they chose ridicule as a defense. Here's the thing about people who belittle your dreams. They're often the ones who once had dreams of their own, but fear or doubt stopped them in their tracks. When they see you moving forward, it forces them to face the risks they didn't take, the paths they didn't dare to walk. And rather than confronting those feelings, they deflect by trying to put out your fire. But here's the key. Their laughter isn't about you, it's about them. They're the ones stuck on the sidelines, watching you chase something they didn't have the courage to pursue. You're living the life they wished they had the guts to live. And here's the best part. When you reach those dreams, they'll be left speechless. That sarcastic good luck will transform into, "Wow, I always knew you could do it." So keep dreaming and keep chasing. Don't let their laughter dim your light. Your dreams aren't there to entertain anyone else. They're there to fuel your soul and bring you joy. And when you reach the summit, those jokes will be nothing more than echoes. The only sound left will be the applause of your success. What's more rewarding than that? Nothing, because the final laugh will always be yours. If any of the points resonated with you, be sure to comment, "Thank God I learned it," to share your thoughts and let us know how it connected. Number 6, passive-aggressive behavior. Let's dive into the world of passive-aggressive behavior, the silent storm that doesn't erupt in a full-on confrontation but still leaves you wondering, did they just throw some shade? It's the backhanded compliments that leave a bitter taste, the cold silences that hang in the air like a heavy fog, or the sarcastic remarks that are dressed up as jokes. People who are passive-aggressive won't come right out and tell you they're upset or envious. Instead, they'll weave their resentment into subtle, indirect comments that make you second-guess everything. For instance, you share your good news, "I just got promoted," and their response, "Oh, must be nice. Some of us don't have it that easy." Or maybe you're excited about a new project, and they hit you with, "Good for you. I guess you have time for things like that." Sound familiar? It's like they've thrown a stone at you, but wrapped it in velvet. It's frustrating because you can't call it out without looking like you're the one who's overreacting. That's the thing with passive-aggressive behavior. It's designed to leave you questioning yourself, like trying to catch a shadow. I remember when I got the chance to work on a dream project. Instead of celebrating with me, a colleague tossed out, "Wow, guess they're giving chances to everyone these days." It wasn't the words themselves that stung. It was the way they were cloaked in faux politeness, like a smile that hides a dagger. The truth is, passive-aggressive behavior often comes from deep insecurity. These people see something in you that makes them feel like they're standing on shaky ground. Instead of dealing with their own feelings of inadequacy, they try to chip away at you in sneaky, underhanded ways. It's jealousy wearing a disguise, refusing to show its true face. But here's what you need to remember. Their behavior speaks volumes about them, not you. It's not your job to solve their internal battles or validate their insecurities. When someone behaves this way, it's a sign of their inability to communicate honestly. They're trapped in their own emotional maze, And instead of facing it head-on, they deflect by projecting their unhappiness onto you. But you don't have to play along. Instead, rise above it. Respond with grace and strength. Show them that their subtle jabs can't shake your foundation. When they say, "Must be nice," flash a smile and say, "It really is, and I worked hard to get here." Let them throw their shadows, but don't let them dim your light. Passive-aggressive behavior thrives on provoking a reaction. Don't give them the satisfaction. Stay grounded in your truth. Stay focused on your path. And don't let their negativity weigh you down. At the end of the day, people who resort to these underhanded tactics are showing you exactly who they are. And you know what? That's valuable information. Let them play their games while you stay on your upward trajectory, unshaken and unstoppable. Because no amount of passive-aggressive shade can dull the brilliance of someone who knows their worth. Your light will shine through, no matter how dark their whispers may be. Number 7. Backhanded compliments. Let's dive into the world of backhanded compliments. You know the ones, the kind that sound sweet on the surface but leave you questioning. Did they just insult me? It's like someone handing you a bouquet with a thorn hidden inside. "Wow, you're so brave for wearing that outfit." Or, "I didn't expect someone like you to pull that off. Good for you." They're not compliments, they're disguised barbs, wrapped in the soft illusion of kindness. People who are secretly jealous often use backhanded compliments. Why? Because it's a subtle way to take a swipe at you while pretending to lift you up. It's their way of saying, "I see your success and it's making me uncomfortable, but I won't say it outright." I remember a co-worker who was a master of this art. After a big presentation I'd poured my heart into, she said, "Wow, that was really good, for someone who doesn't usually speak up much." At first I smiled, but as time passed, I realized she wasn't congratulating me. She was throwing a stone wrapped in velvet, pointing out what she thought was my weakness, even as I was celebrating a victory. Or take the time I debuted a new look I was excited to try. Someone remarked, "Oh, that's so different from what you usually wear. It's interesting." It was like they couldn't just say it looked good. No, they had to slip a tiny dagger into their words, making me second-guess myself. Here's the truth about backhanded compliments. They say more about the person giving them than about you. People who can't celebrate others often struggle with their own insecurities. Your success, confidence, or progress is a spotlight that shines brightly on the shadows of their own self-doubt. Instead of applauding your growth, they try to dim your light with these veiled remarks, pulling you back to their level. It's never truly about your outfit, your achievement, or your shine. It's about their own fear of being left behind. But here's the beauty. Backhanded compliments are actually a mirror. They show you just how powerful your growth, confidence, and success are, powerful enough to make them uncomfortable. That's their issue, not yours. So, the next time someone throws a backhanded compliment your way, don't let it pierce you. Smile, thank them, and walk away. You don't need to defend your shine. Your light belongs to you, and no amount of hidden negativity can extinguish it. Remember, people only throw shade at what's shining. So keep shining, keep growing, and let their little remarks slide off like water on a duck's back. The greatest statement you can make is living your life unapologetically. Number 8, their jokes feel personal. Let's talk about those jokes that don't feel like jokes at all. You know the kind. Someone cracks a line that hits a little too close to home, and then quickly adds, "I'm just kidding." It's the classic move for someone hiding jealousy, turning their own insecurities into punchlines aimed right at you. These aren't jokes meant to make you laugh. They're aimed at your pride, your achievements, your passions, or the things you value most. The laughter isn't genuine. It's a mask for discomfort, a way to throw shade without getting caught. I've been there. When I started focusing on my fitness, working hard, staying consistent, and finally seeing the fruits of my labor, I was excited to share my progress. But then a friend said, "Oh, look who thinks they're a fitness guru now. Don't hurt yourself with all those gym selfies." At first, I brushed it off. thinking it was just a harmless comment. But then, every time I mentioned my workouts or hit a new milestone, they had another sarcastic joke ready. It wasn't about congratulating me. It was about making me second-guess myself, about undermining my accomplishments. Here's the thing. These jokes aren't about you. They're about them. When someone consistently uses humor to target your successes, it's a reflection of their own insecurities. Your growth becomes a mirror to what they feel they're missing in their own life, and rather than supporting you, they hide their discomfort behind a sarcastic comment and a fake laugh. But here's the secret. You don't have to let it sting. When their jokes start feeling more like personal jabs, remind yourself that their words don't define you or your journey. People who are secure in themselves don't feel the need to tear others down, even under the guise of humor. So the next time someone uses humor as a vehicle for shade, don't let it derail you. Smile, stay focused, and keep moving forward. You don't need to prove anything to them. Your success is already speaking volumes. And here's the beauty of it. Those little jabs lose their sting when you refuse to let them get under your skin. While they're trying to get a laugh, you're busy leveling up. And trust me, that's the best response you can give. Keep shining because their jokes, they're just static in the background.